Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight or today at IoT World Europe, together with Guido from Saiolo and myself, Ardian, from Bearing Point. In a world where organizations operate between borders, between different time zones, and where remote access is necessary, I would like you to think about one small thing. What if I told you that only 1% of your user accounts have access to all the keys of your most critical assets? And that's for sure the reality for most companies. A minor fraction of user accounts that, if compromised or hacked, can make huge damage. This by either stealing sensitive data or setting whole systems down. And this brings us to one of the most vulnerable entry points nearly in every organization, the remote access. Remote Privileged Access Management, in short, RPAM, they address in how we as identities connect to our IT, IoT, or OT systems. As we all know, having a non-properly secured remote access, it's like having a backdoor open for cyber criminals in order to allow them to steal data, to exploit vulnerabilities, or in the worst case, also to attack a whole supply chain. And very often, we see this in high-order breaches from time to time. Next, a lot of companies and organizations still use traditional services, solutions like VPN. And we, as Bearing Point, saw this a lot of times at consultings and projects while analyzing the customers' networks. They hadn't an overview about their VPN connections to the networks or to segments of the networks. They didn't even know who had one-time access or who has still access. And using such traditional tools often falls short in how our systems are protected, as they give untrusted endpoints the possibility to connect directly into our systems. As you can see, remote privileged access management isn't just about remote access. It is about doing that in a secured and controlled way. Now that we understand the security issues with remote access, let's have a look at what Gartner says about RPAM as they define the definition back in 2023. You can read it, but I will summarize it. According to Gartner, RPAM is not just about granting identities access for remote reasons. They describe the creation of a secured pathway in how only trusted and authenticated identities could connect to our systems, and this in order to reduce possible attack vectors and reducing the attack exposure. Later on, I will talk, you may still think what RPAM exactly is. I will talk about the features that characterize such tools later on. But before that, I want to talk about other crucial drivers. And using RPAM tools doesn't help us only to meet our security levels. It mostly helps us today to meet our regulations. And compliance is a big topic for using RPAM. While using RPAM, it definitely helps us to increase security levels, but it helps us also to meet the rising numbers of regulations, like, for example, the NIS2 directive, the Cyber Resilience Act, or the new Machine Directive. And by the way, it also helps us to comply with industrial standards, like in the OT world, the IEC 62443, or for example, in the IT world, the ISO 27001 and the sys controls. Using the same mechanism for protecting our systems also helps us to demonstrate compliance. And very often at consultings and projects in our company at Bearing Point, we manage to help our customers first to meet the controls, the requirements, and the measures of such industrial policies, such industrial regulations, in order to meet then the regulation from the European Union. Beyond that, using RPAM tools also helps us to get an IT security insurance, as most of the IT security insurance providers require such strong remote tools. And lastly, and most importantly, very often, the costs. Minimizing downtime and reducing attack vectors always will help us against financial impacts. And this brings me to the next point: what exactly is RPAM? The foundation of RPAM are 3 different concepts. And while the security of remote access has been developed over the past years, a lot of new concept solutions has been developed. And 3 of them are the identity access management, the zero trust network access, and secure remote access. Now, let's have a look at the first one, the identity and access management. It plays a crucial role as a central management for the creation, the deletion, the management, and the protection of identities. It is based on functions or state-of-the-art functions for example, authentication, authorization, and audit. Next, we have the Zero Trust Network Access. And Zero Trust Network Access is all about setting logical and secure boundaries, for example, like making sure that endpoints, application, or systems are hidden for users or identities that are unauthorized for it. Or, for example, making sure that users that should have a connection or the access to a specific server, that it should also get it. And it is based on very high secure principles like distrust everyone by default, giving users minimal rights, do continuous monitoring, then the micro-segmentation of the network, and so on and so on. And lastly, we have the secure remote access. Very often it is used, and mostly it's used as a marketing term, but it includes much more than that. It includes the concept of, securing remote access, and it covers technologies and solutions. It is based on every kind of secure typical functions, like doing a reverse connection, like using multi-factor authentication, like always have a monitoring. And these 3 things are the base, are the foundation of remote privileged access management. Next, we have the characteristics, the features, or the features that characterize such RPAM tools. And I have this slide from Gartner, as it is a very good overview if you want to choose an RPAM tool, just to see which kind of features you may need for your company. And just for example, we have things like the possibility for a service engineer, a maintainer, to request an access that an asset owner can accept or deny. Or on the other hand, the possibility of getting a remote access just in time, without any delays. Then we have the topic of having access and authentication by having only local identity stores, because nobody wants to have their credentials stored somewhere in the cloud. And it's very important that if an end user don't need to see the credentials of an endpoint, it also should not. And with features like that, it makes RPAM like a very strong security solution. Yes. Now I've come to the end of my part, but I want to add one more thing. We have searched a long time as Bearing Point for a very good software vendor for remote privileged access management, and we have analyzed about 30 different vendors. And we are happy to say today that we use for our customers the solution of Saiolo, and we are very happy to have such a strong vendor behind us for our consultings. Thank you very much. And now give the word to Guido.
Thanks, Adrian. Hello, everyone. What can I say? First of all, apologies. We are delivering here probably the most boring part of the whole day, right? Security, how boring is that? I mean, I really envy you, post-nod. Return on investment in 4 months? Cool. I've been in IT security, cybersecurity for more than 20 years, as you see. And that is always the same struggle, right? Why invest in security? What is the return on invest in security? Is it only an insurance, or does it really pay off? Well, what I can also say from experience is that when you are compromised, when your downtime is down, then you immediately see the value of security, and then all of a sudden companies come to us and say, give me your solution, whatever it costs tomorrow. No, today is better, even for twice the price. So what is the value of security? It's hard to quantify in the beginning, and of course it's a risk calculation. We all have risk-based approaches, and everyone needs to decide for themselves what is the hunger, the appetite for risk, what is the consequences of risk, what is the own company guidance, compliance rules, but what are the regulatory environments? And of course, in manufacturing, when you are falling under certain regulations, it's about time to think how to improve on your security levels to become compliant and not get fined. Apart from that, apart from your own risk appetite and regulatory pressure, there might be some considerations if you look at statistics. I didn't bring any statistics, didn't want to bore you with more slides where we have nice graphics, but if you read the papers, it has become clear that the bad actors, they went away from the IT-driven frauds where they say, hey, I break in, I steal 100,000 of your customer records, and if you don't pay me that $500,000, tomorrow I will put them public. That has been not a thing of the past, but what bad actors do more today is they calculate and they study very closely how much does an hour of production standstill cost. And then they hack you, and then they charge you, and then you pay because you know yourself what it costs, right? So the danger is real, and I would not wonder if the majority here in this room either has been having own experience or know someone that had this experience. So what is our part here? What is the part of Saiolo as a software vendor in the cybersecurity space? And what is our part also in context with a great partner that we have? Why did Bearing Point as a global systems integrator choose Bearing Point after a thorough evaluation of the tool market? Saiolo, and we talk about secure remote access mainly to machines and components on the production side, yeah? Secure remote access to the production side. What does Saiolo bring to the table here, and what does Saiolo do different? Saiolo combines the best of 3 worlds in a smart way. with operational ease and also budget-friendly. Who of you know the car manufacturer Skoda? Do you know Skoda? Do you know their marketing slogan? Skoda, simply clever, they say. Simply clever. I saw a test of the new Skoda, I think Superb, where they have 16 new inventions that are smart. So what can be smart in a car? What can be smart in a product that is 100 years old? It goes from A to B, right? It has 4 wheels. What is the smart thing about Skoda? Who knows one of them, very famous? They have an umbrella fixed in the door. So you buy the car, you buy a Skoda, and it comes with an umbrella. So you don't need to buy an umbrella and put it somewhere in the car, and it lingers around all the time. But they deliver the car with an umbrella because occasionally it can rain. Smart. Another example is they have this card holder, paper holder in the windscreen. So you park somewhere, get a paper slip. Yes, they still exist, paper slips. You put it on the dashboard. Where, you know, Skoda has a piece defined in the windshield. You slide it in. It's perfect. Why am I telling this? I'm telling this because what Saiolo brings to the table in the context of secure remote access to resources on the shop floor is what it is, and you heard it before. Zero trust is nothing new. That's the first world. Right? Zero trust has been around in the IT space for how long? Decades? Nothing new. Connectivity, access, secure remote access, nothing new. Who knows what a VPN is? VPN? Ever used a VPN? Fine, that's fantastic. Has been around for a while. The last world, PAM, there are some vendors that invented PAM and others hopped on the train since 20 years. I won't mention names here. But everything has been around for a while. So why Saiolo? Because we are combining the best of these worlds for which use case? The use case to connect remotely and secure to operational elements on the shop floor in a very unique way. The first difference, if we go on the left side, when we talk about zero trust, a really cool, flexible solution to not just check the person that tries to access and that has no trust in the beginning before he or she verifies that it's worth the trust, but at the same time we check the device with which the person connects. So we really want to make sure and can make sure that not any bad actor that is a super professional in social engineering and pretends to be you but isn't you breaks in to the site where he gets access to on any production environment. The second piece is maybe the most important one, the access piece, the yellow one. So most of you said you know what a VPN is. And when you know what a VPN is, then you know it stands for Virtual Private Network. So you connect to a network virtually. What does a network connection mean? If a malware is in one network, the malware connects as well and reaches the other network with lateral movement, reconnaissance, and stays in the other network and causes damage there as well, potentially. In reality, that means if you are producing something, glass or whatever, and your glass drilling machine from vendor X needs repair or remote maintenance, and then the service person from vendor X connects to your site with a VPN, and they have malware. They might not even know the malware does silent reconnaissance for months and even years. It spreads, does the same at your site. Funny. That's why we don't connect to networks, but we connect these precisely identified identities only to the resources on the shop floor that they have access to via the policy that you give them. Can be a sensor, can be an actor, a PLC, Yes, can be also an HMI or even a subnet, but only very fine granular from a precise identity to the precise resource. Third world, remote PAM. That was Ardian was talking quite extensively, a term identified or invented by Gartner, remote PAM, specifically for the OT world. Now that we have identified, yes, it's really Ardian, it's him, right? Right time, right place. We checked 25 context-based parameters. It's him that wants to connect. We try to establish, or we established a connection in a secure way, not network or not user to network, but identity to resource. We established a connection. But then me, as the shop floor owner, I still want to approve his connection requests at the time when the connection request comes in. Why do I want to do it? You all know the reasons. And I might have the desire, because I'm here in my production facility in Manila, and I'm responsible for that facility, and I don't want anyone else in this world to approve, to have the ability to approve. I want it to be my own sovereignty. That is something that you can do with Zaiolo. Much more you can do. For example, have you ever heard about the internet? Forget it. We don't need it. If there is a desire, if there is a use case where you say, hey, I'm in a plant somewhere in the desert where there is no stable internet connection or no internet connection at all. I need to work in an air-gapped way. I want to make sure that my workers here on the location, on the campus, can access the machines on the same campus without going to the internet and stuff, but with the same policies that I have anywhere else. Welcome to Zaiolo. So the combination and the flexibility to really combine these three elements, from the zero trust piece to the connection piece to the PAM piece, with a focus on OT, that's a smart thing. We don't reinvent the wheel completely. It's still a car, right? But it's a much smarter approach that has been designed with two things in mind: better security and better operational agility. And the best thing, to the end, is also affordable. If you want to talk more about it, go straight, strategically well positioned between these two eating aisles. So you will hit us directly, and we can discuss further. Thank you very much.